Well, earlier this week, former Liberal Senator and the founder of the Australian Conservative Party, Cory Bernardi, announced, after having quit politics, that he will now be running as One Nation's lead candidate for South Australia. And I'm pleased to say Cory joins us now. Cory, great to see you as always. Great to have you back in the Sky studio as always, all of those things. Now, bittersweet as far as I'm concerned. Fantastic news to see you back in politics. I think it's a great choice, One Nation. Keen to hear your thoughts. Why? I was a little disappointed that only the good burgers of South Australia will benefit from your decision and not the rest of us. But tell us why you've decided to get back in the saddle, and also what you made of John Howard saying that you're not going to trouble the scorers and that you're desperate for recognition. Lot there. Off you go, Cory.
There's a lot to unpack there, Rowan. Look, I got the bug back to enter into politics because I realised that South Australia in particular, and I know it's happening at the national level as well, but South Australia had no effective opposition party. We've got a very popular Premier here, Peter Malinauskas. He's, running up state debt. He's prioritising, I think, the wrong things. He's distracting the people with bread and circuses that are very expensive, very popular, but are leading us effectively nowhere. And the Liberal Party are nowhere to be seen. I live in regional South Australia. I have businesses in regional South Australia. And I saw the decline of the services that are happening here. I saw how the will of the people or the interests of the people have been ignored. And I also saw the work that Pauline Hanson was doing, and I thought, well, heck, if I'm not prepared to get in, use my experience, whatever skills I may have, and, that bit of dogged determination I'm kind of renowned for, if I'm not prepared to get in and do it and try and fix things up, well, who else is going to? And so I joined One Nation. I, donated to their campaign, and here we are today. I'm delighted that Pauline Hanson asked me to represent them.
So is John Howard correct that you won't trouble the scorers and it's all actually just about relevance deprivation syndrome or whatever? What do you make of John Howard's intervention?
Look, Mr Howard, I've known him, he's a legend, but they seem to wheel him out when the death throes of the Liberal campaign is there. He's backed every Liberal leadership person, every contender. He's backed every campaign, no matter how hopeless they are. And for someone of his stature to dismiss One Nation, which is now representing a great swathe of votes out there and voices of Australian people, as some sort of party of protest, you've got to ask yourself, how did it get to this? If the Liberal Party and the Labor parties were actually doing the right thing by the country, if they were, enacting policies that people wanted, and if they were actually making our lives better, well, maybe there wouldn't be a need for One Nation. But here's the problem, Rowan. You can't save the duopoly. You can't save the uni party, because Mr Howard's party, which is the Liberal Party, and Mr Albanese's party, the competition between them extends to about the extent of, we will manage the decline of the economic, the social and the cultural decline of this country slightly less badly than the other blokes. But they're all taking us in one direction. And that's why One Nation, after 3 decades of warning people what was happening and what was going to come, after Pauline Hanson's determination and her prescience, I should say, the chickens are coming home to roost. People are going, you lot, meaning the major parties, the duopoly, you haven't made our lives better. In fact, you're making it worse, and you've got no answers. And for Mr Howard to say that I'm seeking attention, well, mate, I've enjoyed more than my fair share of time in the spotlight, and that's the furthest thing from my mind. What I want is to actually fix some of the problems that are there, and I want to help train or support or build an army of people who are going to actually have a very strong voice for their state and for their country. And if I spend the next 4 or 5 or 6 years of my time doing that, and the country will be better off, well, I'll happily fade into the limelight. And I only wish Mr Howard would probably do the same about now.
Cory, I know you'll go great guns in South Australia. I have no doubt about that. What do you attempted to break the duopoly with your Australian Conservatives a few years ago. I gave you some publicity on that at the time. It was a great cause. What do you think One Nation, now that the momentum is going their way, what should be the One Nation policy? Should it be, as Pauline suggested, maybe some kind of coalition with the Nats or even the Libs if the votes go that way? How do you see it playing out, this momentum, this big swing towards one nation at the moment? How's it going to play out, do you think, federally?
I think One Nation's star is on the rise for a few reasons. One is the public is catching up to the fact that Pauline Hanson's been right all along, that the cosy duopoly that is maladministering the country has no interest in the people. And she's giving a voice to people who feel marginalised and feel dispossessed by the current political environment. No question about that. But politics is the art of the possible. You know that, Rowan. You've got to take some risks in this game. I've certainly taken a few risks. Some come off and some don't. But, you know, the fact is that if the voters entrust One Nation with representation, more representation, with the balance of power or the opportunity to choose who forms government until we form government, well, you know, wouldn't it be better off to have a centre-right government than a hard left one? And if One Nation can influence the policy mix that's coming through, then for the betterment of all South Australians, or all Australians, I should say, in regard to taxation, in regard to the education system, in regard to immigration, in regard to looking after Australia's interests first rather than the international interests, well, surely the country would be better off. Ultimately, I think I'd like to see a One Nation government, full stop. But, you know, we might be a couple of elections away from that, and between now and then, we'll give a very strong voice to the Australian people, and we'll work with anybody who wants to make South Australia or Australia a better, more prosperous and safer place.
One might even say make South Australia great again. Cory Bernardi, thanks to chat to you as always, and we'll speak again soon. After the break, Labor MP Ed Husic has claimed he's very uncomfortable about Isaac Herzog's visit to Australia. I'll have my say on why he's wrong and why we should be welcoming Isaac Herzog, the President of Israel, in a tick.